At para balikan ang legacy ni Coach Baby Dalupan, makakausap natin ngayong gabi si Rick Olivares. Hey Rick!
Rick,
Hi,
welcome. Welcome to The Score. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Napag-usapan natin yung the book about the maestro Baby Dalupan, and
Yes.
you are actually one of the lead authors for this book. Since you know Baby Dalupan probably more than a lot of us, and a lot of us now are not aware of how big his contribution to Philippine basketball is. Siguro, can you paint us a picture of ano yung achievements ni Baby Dalupan throughout his coaching career?
Well, aside from the fact that he was the winningest coach for quite a while, especially in the PBA until Tim Cohn broke that record, I think it was his capacity to turn things around for different teams and different schools. I mean, when it was the Dalupan family that actually owned the University of the East. And after he was done playing for Ateneo, his family asked him, hey, you want to help with our team? And he came in as a PE instructor, and he said, I don't know anything about coaching, but I'll see what I can do. I learned from some pretty good coaches. Well, he led the University East Warriors to 7 straight UAP titles. And then when he moved over to Ateneo, he won the last 2 NCAA crowns for Ateneo, you know. And then look at Crispa. Before that, he turned them into a powerhouse. And when he moved to Great Taste, prior to that, they had not won anything. And they won 5 straight titles. 5 straight, without winning a Grand Slam. And then Pure Foods, when he joined them, they were starved for a championship. They had not won since they came in 88. Yet he won one with them in his first conference with them. So if that guy isn't a miracle worker, I don't know what is. No.
I came from the NCAA and we were able to hear from Coach Atoy ko, who played for Coach Baby.
Yes,
and sinabi ni Coach Atoy ko na ang pinaka-importanting lesson na natutunan niya from Coach Baby was yung disiplina. May isang beses daw na minura siya ni Coach Baby sa locker room. Kasi nagbatuhan daw sila ng bola ni Fabiosa. At hindi ito nagustuhan ni Coach Atoy kasi Coach Atoy wanted to score kasi scorer yun. So, coming from a guy like Coach Atoy, what's your reaction to that na yun yung pinaka-naalala ni Coach Atoy na disciplinarian itong si Coach Baby?
Well, for Coach, no, many people will say kasi widow coach siya. He's one of those greatest widow coaches, yung talagang mahilig sa matchups. But discipline was very, very central to what he wanted. That hindi pwedeng magulo, kailangan medyo may semblance of order. And this is in the pre-scientific era. But he made sure that he studied all the opponents and would tell them, okay, ito dapat gawin mo. He would tell his players, itong gustong gawin ng kalaban natin, dapat ito gagawin mo. And para magawa mo to, dapat condition ka. And he would make this team run, he would make them work hard. So discipline was key. You know, he had a bunch of star players, but walang star. If you deserve to start, you will start. If you don't deserve to play, that's why he had no permanent starting 5s in the PBA, none. If you were fit for that game, if you were good for that matchup, you were gonna play regardless if you're the 12th man on that team.
You mentioned, Rick, na he was a miracle worker in that in the 3 PBA teams that he coached his entire career, he brought them each of their first championships.
Yes.
And marami nagsasabi na the teams he coached were loaded with talent, but what was it about Baby Dalupan's coaching style that allowed him to win at that level, given the amount of talent that he had on his roster?
I'm gonna make a parallel comparison to that. No? I think the great heir to Baby Dalupan is none other than Yengao. As I mentioned earlier, wala siyang fixed starting 5, and it's the same thing with Yengao. You don't know kung sino bubunutin niya. So in doing so, he kept everyone on their toes. You're a star, feeling mo star, go sit. Go sit. Ikaw, ready ka to play? Go. If his starting 5 wasn't gonna play, if they weren't ready, he'd sit them down, he'd bench them, he'd let the others play. That's the kind of coach he was. Walang star system sa kanya. No? But yun nga, for those teams, why were they successful? For one, and you can say that yun nga, loaded kasi. Hindi, but people also say at the same time, you can have all-star teams and not win. And we know that to be a fact. But he got them, even if you're a star, that you have roles on this team. And can you imagine, after a while, he lost Bogs and Tornado, the MVP on the Crispa team. But his Redmanizer still kept on trucking, nananalo pa rin, di ba?
You mentioned Coach Yang Giao as one of the coaches that was truly influenced by Coach Baby Dalupan. Tim Cohn tweeted earlier also, and he said that Coach Baby Dalupan was the father of all of us coaches. So aside from Coach Yang, Coach Tim, do you see any other coaches that were truly influenced by Coach Baby?
Oh, definitely. I think Sonny Jaworski, when he coached Ginebra, Sonny obviously played for Baby in UE, and he was playing center at the time. No? Can you imagine the Big J playing center? That's why ang galing pumoste. But you know, we can actually say that some people will actually say na wala siyang sistema. Hindi rin. That's not true. That's not exactly true. He had certain disciplines when it comes to what they needed to do on the court. But with regards to these coaches, the influence and Sonny Jaworski came up under him. And if you looked at the Big J, you know, same thing, match up, then go to your strengths, what's your strength, and yun naman ang basic basketball, di ba? But I guess the Big J was one of those, well, Coach Yang, I think Coach Yang's a big one, no? Si Tim Cohn, I would like to qualify that. No, I know that Tim said today in his tweets that the GOAT, no, Baby Dalupan is the GOAT. I'll agree to that one. The best coach in the land, but that's including collegiate ball.
Overall.
Yes, but the best in the PBA is Tim Cohn. Well, I think that the fact that he surpassed that record of Coach Baby, he has that title.
Ngayon, Rick, you mentioned the pre-scientific era. Ngayon, a lot of coaching goes into scouting, X's and O's, technical analysis of the game. But you mentioned earlier that Baby Dalupan was a widow coach.
Yes.
Do you think he would have the same level of success in this generation?
I think he would still succeed, but not as much. He would struggle. I think that today's players are different. I'm not saying that in a bad way. What I'm trying to say is that today's players are more athletic. They're bigger, they're taller, they're faster than the players that he had at that time. Di ba? But I think coach would adapt. Ganun naman like if you look at Coach Yang, di ba, his assistants are workhorses when it comes to the scientific stuff. Yan sila Kaloy, sila Mike Buendia. I think it's the same thing with Coach Baby. He would rely on some of that stuff, but he would go with what he knows. But I still feel he would struggle. He would still win though, but he would struggle.
Rick, now you wrote an article that's coming out soon on ABS-CBN on the website. Could you kindly invite everybody to check out what you wrote and what we can expect?
Yes, well, I was asked today by my editor at the ABS-CBNnews.com, Vladimir Bunoan, to write a tribute, and I struggled. I mean, what am I gonna say compared to the Big J, compared to Tim and all these other people from Atoy to Boggs, diba? And in 2006, kasi when I first interviewed him about his past Ateneo teams when he was competing for Ateneo, I asked him, what do you want to be remembered when you move on? Is it the greatest coach? He said, no. I was shocked. I don't want to be remembered as the greatest coach. I want to be remembered as a person who did his best. And he recounted his story where when he was 20 years old in 1944, right before the Americans came back to liberate the Philippines, and some Japanese soldiers picked him out and brought him to Fort Santiago. And he thought that he was gonna die, he was gonna be executed there. And then hinarap siya sa room, may mga makapili. And he was afraid. And he was praying to himself and saying, I hope that I did not wrong any of these people before the war. So he was spared, no? But it taught him a lesson like, you have to be good to people. You have to be kind, you have to be charitable, and you have to give their best. And if you show that best side of yours, don't ask for people to reciprocate, just do your best.
Yeah.
If you live a good life, be a good person, good things will happen. And if all of this, the championships, came as a reward, then thank you God. That's what he was saying. And that struck me as, wow, that's kind of deep. So I only knew him as a championship coach, but spending a whole day with him in his home in Loyola Grand Villas, and then later on in the course of writing a bunch of articles and then a book about Coach Baby, I got to know him better as a person and how he is as a family man. So that article on ABS-CBNnews.com, I urge you to check it out. It's titled My Tribute, The Measure of a Man. So I think that's more than championships, there are a lot of things to measure a coach, and that's why he is truly the greatest coach. No, he was a man. He was a man's man.
And with that, ako personally, Anton, parang ang dami ko natutunan dito about Coach Baby Dalupan. just in this short interview with Rick Olivares, and for sure, Rick, we will be watching out for that article, and of course, the book, The Maestro, that you wrote about Baby Dalupan.
Yeah, thank you. There's really a lot about, magugulat kayo sa mga kwento. If I may add, Anton, no? 1976, that's what, 50 years ago? Correct me if my math is correct or not. NCAA, Ateneo was playing Mapua, and then medyo dikit, it was tense, and then he calls Jimmy Choseco, the dad of Cassie Choseco, who played for the Lady Eagles later on and won championships. He said, Jimmy was the 12th man on the bench. So Jimmy thought he was going to play. And dito ka, tayo ka sa likod ko, because Baby was being pelted by lighters and whatnot. And everyone, it broke the ice for his team. They started laughing, and they walloped Mapua by 24 points in that game. But that's another thing that Coach Baby was saying. You gotta have a sense of humor, because life is too serious enough. And that's in the article, The Measure of a Man. So,
And Rick, I mean, too short a time. I'm sure marami pa tayong papagkwentuhan na stories, but thank you for enlightening us about itong life ni Coach Baby Dalupan. Thanks for joining us, Rick.
Thank you, Anton. Thank you, Mark.
For more sports updates, keep watching The Score. And don't forget to subscribe.